Hey, let's take a little closer look at the way research is being used in the article you all just read, Native American Stand-Up Comedy, Epideictic Strategies in the Context Zone by Amanda Morris. So, Morris, first of all, does a close reading of a primary text. It's not really a primary text at all, is it? It's actually the Comedy Slam. But the reason it's a primary work of art is that it's creative, original work done by artists, just like an author writing a novel or a play. And then Morris creates a conversation with other scholars, other secondary texts, and weaves her argument about this comedy slam together with things that these scholars have already said. But she's very careful not to just repeat something someone else has done. And in fact, she begins with that in the opening line. Here she's contrasting what has already been done with what she wants to do next. So she opens with this John Lemon in his stand-up comedy and theory and says he has defined Native American comedy and tried to delineate specific characteristics of this comedy. And she says she's going to do something different. There's already been someone trying to define it, and she's sort of resisting that. She's saying, I'm not trying to define a kind of comedy. What I'm doing instead is arguing that contemporary Native American stand-up is this form of epideictic rhetoric, different than a definition. He's done this, I'm doing this. That's a great move to do in your scholarship. Someone else has said this about Twain, I'm saying this. Or someone else has said this about Twain, I'm going to look at that same approach, but looking at Charles Chestnut. So same approach, different text. Those are two different ways that you can do something new, create a conversation that goes beyond what has already been said. Another thing that she does, if you look on this next page, is she looks at cultural context. So she gets scholarly sources on other forms of public discourse by Native Americans, and she relates that to the discourse of comedy. You could do the same thing by maybe looking at, here's 19th century advertisements and the way these are defining women, and I'm going to compare that to how it's being defined in a 19th century novel. Make sense? So these are different ways you could use scholarship. For your assignment, go back to the wiki, and notice I have the PDF located conveniently for you here. What you're going to do is you're going to look at different examples of the way Morris is using research, and you're going to respond to that, thinking towards how you could be using research as you revise for your final paper. And remember, I'll have those comments on the close reading paper in a couple of weeks, posted on my BC.